Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and this is my Snohomish County real estate market update for September 2025. We are continuing to see the same trends we've been talking about over the past month, and that is that the housing market is starting to stabilize in Snohomish County and really most of the Seattle region. We've seen, if we look at the numbers here, and the Snohomish County updates, if you're new, these are a lot more data heavy, a little less of my thoughts and interpretations. I share a lot more in the Seattle real estate market update, the monthly one. So if you want to pay attention to that one as well, we got the Seattle, Bellevue update, big cities, and I share a little bit more of my thoughts in those ones. But to jump right to the numbers here with the inventory, something that we've been talking about for the spring is that the amount of housing inventory was ballooning, and it was ballooning in a somewhat concerning way. We had more than normal amounts of housing coming on and really still fewer buyers in the market like we've seen the past couple years. And over the past couple years, it hasn't mattered as much that we've had fewer buyers because we have had fewer sellers. And so this year we saw more sellers than normal and still a suppressed amount of buyers, mainly because of the higher interest rates. And that caused the market to really stall out a lot. And we started to see houses sitting on the market longer, and we started to see the multiple offers disappear. We started to see houses selling below asking price. And for buyers, this is an ideal scenario. For sellers, it's a nightmare. And what we've seen this last month is it started to flatten out a little bit. And so we saw the supply, or the amount of housing per buyer, start to taper off. And we had almost the same amount of listings at the end of the month, this month, as we did at the end of last month. And really, we had 5 less. So what ended up happening is all the new listings, or at least the equivalent of that amount, all sold within the month. And so we didn't see any more inventory building up. We didn't see the continued pressure towards longer times on the market, lower prices, leaning towards the buyer's market. And we saw things continue to stay in this more balanced zone for buyers and sellers in Snohomish County. And a lot of that had to do with fewer listings coming on the market. If we look at the new listing numbers here over the past month, we saw fewer new listings coming on the market, 895 versus 968 last month. So a little bit of a drop off. This is normal seasonally. We also saw a slight drop off year over year. So fewer listings, 2.3% than we did the same time last year. We saw a slight drop off, 1.3% year over year with the pending sales, but they were more 775 than the 761 last month. So a little bit more buyer activity, fewer listings equals the market is not continuing to favor buyers. And the closed sales number here, a little bit more than last month, 677 versus 658. Again, right in line with what we've been talking about. It's just about the same. The amount of listings and buyers are equal or close to equal. And so things are flattening out in Snohomish County. Now, what does that mean for the pricing, right? If you're a buyer, you're thinking about what's that cost going to be, maybe based on the listing price. You see a listing price, what's it going to sell for? The average percent of the list price was 99% last month in Snohomish County. So across the county, 99% of the asking price. Last month, it was 99.6% of the asking price. So you're still right around the asking price. You can expect to maybe be able to negotiate a little bit on specific homes. In general, though, you're going to be paying at or right near the asking price in Snohomish County. The sky has not been falling, if you were wondering. The sellers, I think you're thinking, what's my house worth? How much am I going to be able to list it for if I did? And the median sales price last month in Snohomish County was $784,725, which from last month down a little bit. Again, the month over month price comparisons aren't great just because of the seasonality to it. But if we look back at last year, we were 1.3% less than we were this year. So we didn't see much growth, 1.3% year over year in the Snohomish County prices. And even with all the kind of bumps along the road over the last year, things have remained relatively flat in Snohomish County over the last year. And a lot of that has to do with the interest rates that we've seen over these past couple years. And the interest rates have been hovering and changing over the last month or so. They've been trending downward. We've been in the 6.25% range most of the last couple weeks, according to the Mortgage News Daily Survey. And I think there's a lot of hope for buyers that we might see the mortgage rates continuing to trend downwards. I'm even hearing people talking about refinances. Now, I have a rate right now, 6.99%. I'm probably not going to refinance into a 6.25% rate right now. It's not really worth the fees and expenses to do that. But especially if I think they're going to keep going down, I think that somebody with a 7.5% or 8% rate, which there are some people that got rates like that over the past couple years, that's where you might start looking at 6.25%. That's a big drop, right? And again, you might do it again if rates continue to drop, but there might be more incentive to do that right now than for me to do that right now. So I think rate-wise, that might be something to consider. If you're a buyer, rates are better, which is good. But if you've bought a house over the past couple years, you want to have in the back of your mind that refinance coming up, because you'll most likely be able to get a better rate and also a better monthly payment. Thanks so much for tuning into this month's Snohomish County real estate market update. If you made it to the end, I know there was some value for you. So please consider subscribing to the channel and following along. And if there's any way that I can bring value to your situation, give me a call.